So I think we are ready to go. Welcome everyone,
Cool.
and thank you for joining us today. I am Minhaj from Sanction Scanner, and I will be your moderator today in this webinar. Before we dive in, I want to share a quick word about who we are and what Sanction Scanner does. Sanction Scanner is an AI-powered risk intelligence platform trusted by more than 600 companies across more than 70 countries. From banks and fintechs to crypto exchange and payment institutions, Sanction Scanner help compliance teams in several tasks, such as name screening, transaction monitoring, fraud detection, risk assessment, case management, and all of them are executed by a single unified AI-powered platform called Fusion. AI is at the core of how we do this and what we do that. Our platform Fusion brings a number of AI-powered capabilities together in one place, including like smarter name matching, rule generation, customer risk scoring, and even SAR narrative writing. And today we are gonna talk about a crucial question. Who is actually winning in the AI race in financial crime landscape? I think this question is that is on the mind of everyone working in compliance right now. And happily, we have a fantastic guest with us today, Alexander Kittov. Alexander is the head of advanced analytics at Nordea Bank. As you may know, Nordea is one of Northern Europe's largest financial institutions. With an engineering background from the Technical University of Denmark, Alexander works at the intersection of AI and compliance every single day, which makes him exactly the right person for this event. Alexander, very warm welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much, Minhak. Thanks for Sanction Scanner for giving me this opportunity to share my opinion and views on AI and who's actually winning the race. And thank you and your team for organizing it. I can only imagine how much work it goes into organizing such an event. So it's amazing that it's happening. And thanks for having me.
Perfect, perfect. Uh, Alexander, I want to start at the top. From your position at Nordea as the head of advanced analytics, how do you see the role of AI in compliance actually change over the last past 2 years? Everything is changing very dynamically, and the 2 years is actually a long time when you consider AI. And why? The reason why I am asking this question is, how do you see this AI landscape in financial crime prevention looks like beyond the buzzword? Let us take your perspective on that.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Minhak. Uh, You're right. The AI is moving so fast, and development is so quick, and changes are coming every day. And you can even see the founders, godfather of AI, and another AI expert in the industry admitting themselves that it's difficult to catch up, even with the frontier of the development. So in general, in every industry or in the economy, it's very, very difficult to catch up and constantly be on top of what's going on. When it comes to with compliance and the adoption of AI, I think the last couple of years, 2, 3 years, there is a lot more focus and attention on AI naturally and what it does and what it can do. And that's fantastic, right? Because it creates momentum and creates opportunities and brings in funding and budget for actually adopting AI and having these proof of concepts or having this project running and spinning. So that's absolutely fantastic, and there is much more attention on AI, definitely in in how to be utilized and how to get the benefit out of it, which I think is what everybody is wondering about. Right.
Yeah, perfect. Like, can you give us some concrete examples of what this look like in practice?
Well, I think it's a golden time and fantastic opportunity to actually figure out how to use AI for compliance and what it can bring to the table. And my perspective is that there is no recipe and there is no specific example or use cases that is bulletproof and it works and it needs to be applied everywhere, right? It is a golden opportunity for people that like to experiment and to figure out and to try and to add their creativity mindset to work, put their
Mhm.
creativity mindset to work to actually come up with interesting use cases and and prove they work. Also, I think it is very important to have this opportunity to fail fast.
Fail fast.
Fail fast, experiment, see if something works or doesn't work, and then if it doesn't work, move on and try to find another use case or another opportunity. So from that perspective, it is a lot of mindset changes, a lot of there's a need of a lot of change in perspective of how to adopt AI and how to find the use cases, and specifically in a heavy regulated industries,
Mhm.
it is challenging, right? Because the environment is such that it needs to be bulletproof, but it cannot be bulletproof because it's found before you found what's going to work and what's not going to work. And that's the interesting part there. That's the challenge, right? And that's why I love working in that area, because there are added complexities.
Exactly. This is actually very useful framing on the one side, but there is also another side of the coin. And I just want to flip the conversation, and we have been talking about how big opportunity AI provides for our world, the good guys, but also there are also the other guys who are bad guys, and the same technology is available for them as well, and how our financial criminals are using AI, and what does that mean for how institutions need to think about their defenses.
Yeah. And interestingly, the bad guys don't need to comply, right? So they
This is
have
another
that barrier
another question. We
out.
are gonna come that point later.
Let's get to that point later. But to back to what I said, the creativity, there is much more freedom for creativity on the bad side, right? Just by
Mhm.
the nature of the event, of the activity. And then from that perspective, we can already see how AI is used in especially the generative AI in creating fake videos, voices, calls, and that is a very fruitful environment for fraud. A number of videos and materials in social media suggest family and close friends to have code words and to have specific secrets that they can share in event of someone calling you and asking for money because whatever happens, right? And that's a common schema, which is now so much easier to implement with AI. And a little bit on regulations and legislations, it's maybe a little bit more gray area on who is actually performing the criminal activity, because it's actually AI calling you or AI asking you for the money and so on. So that's probably an area where rules and regulations will have to catch up very quickly. And um, attempt to restrict or at least define a clear line of AI usage and what it means and how it's going to be judged, right? That's one way of using AI for fraudulent activities. There is a very good example of I love woodworking, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos about woodworking. And then there is one channel called Blacktail Studio, where the owner of the channel has been a subject of a criminal activity, and the fraudsters actually recreated his website content. They generated images with his own face, going around and asking or promising people that they will finish projects for them and collecting money without delivering. And the video is fantastic, and it's very comprehensive schema of creating all this continuous interaction to convince people to pay tens of thousands of US dollars for a project that's never going to be delivered, but it's so realistic. There are weekly updates and progress on the project, and then there is an element of identity hijacking. Money go to a random person that doesn't even know that it's part of the schema, so you can be actually a subject of such kind of a fraudulent criminal behavior without even knowing it. And it's a fantastic video. I would recommend everybody watching it because it shows a full schema in action, and the owner of the channel reveals how he basically busted the criminals. I don't think they caught them eventually. It was so tied up in loops and hoops. But it brings me to 2 points. One is that the possibilities are virtually limitless on one hand side. On the other hand side, it becomes so complicated, complex, and it requires so much time also from the criminals that it almost becomes like full-time job, and then it's also difficult to act on this type of criminal behaviors because of their complexity. But on the other hand side, we should be kind of cautious and try to evaluate how much proportion-wise this type of AI criminal activity are compared to the existing criminal activity in the world, right? So from that perspective, maybe, at least I don't have the actual data, and that data will probably be collected in the next years with the adoption of AI in criminal activities. But my feeling will be that it will be a small proportion of the overall criminal activity, because AI gives you certain abilities, like we discussed in the example, but it doesn't solve the whole organization of criminal activity with still having subsidiary companies or having a network of mules or whichever typology you take from financial crime. It actually requires much more than just AI. And maybe there are specific use cases where the AI can play a huge role and can generate huge amount of criminal activity quick, kind of bypassing the physical network that needs to be around or behind the criminal activity. But for now, I think it will be relatively small proportion.
This is really a great point, and this is actually a realistic point of view, I would say, because many people are in a position of red alarming, extremely concerning about the use of AI by criminals, which is a legit concern. But being at the point of realism and seeing what happens on the field, especially confirmed by an expert on the field like you is actually a bit releasing and revealing. What I understand, to summarize from what you have told, is actually the main framework of financial crime hasn't changed drastically. The fundamentals are the same, so the criminals still need to do some things that like mules or like creating
Physical,
some
having a
some
physical typology.
yeah, but so AI hasn't brought yet a strategic change in the financial crime. But on the tactical level, AI may be useful in creating, for example, more convincing videos, or may bring, if used in a proper way, more efficiency to criminal activity. So this is really good to hear from you. This actually, yeah,
And
please.
maybe I can elaborate and make a point very clear that yeah, of course there is being AI being so new technology, there is always a lack of travel of information, right? Maybe
Mhm.
there is already some more significant and substantial use of AI in criminal activity that we haven't just observed or found yet, right? Let's leave that let that door open, and in that context. I like to think about AI and the stage we are in AI development, in AI adoption at the moment, as if you imagine you bring a Formula One car back to ancient Rome, right? It has fantastic capabilities. It's fast and it's the absolute performer. But does ancient Rome has the infrastructure to utilize this performance? How about roads? How about fuel? How about the ability of the people to drive it? And if in that context, again, it's all about creativity and all about how AI can be um, cracked after it's available, but put into use, and for what is going to be put into use. Hence, we have the bad guys and good guys, and who is winning here.
So I really like your analogy about the F1 car, race car, and the roads of ancient Rome. So I would like you to a bit elaborate on this. What is this ancient Rome roads? What is the infrastructure?
Well, that is essentially any IT infrastructure in the world right now, in industries and in companies, and again, criminals having a little bit more freedom, but data structures, data mappings, and data quality, all these in most
Hmm.
industries
Hmm.
are fundamentals for usage of AI,
Yeah.
right? It's the old saying from 10 years ago, garbage in, garbage out. So you need really to have good data and to have data that is ready to put AI in use. And AI is so powerful now, the new models being LLMs or deep networks or agents, they're trained on close to the whole internet, basically,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So they are very, very, very complicated models, like an F1 car. And then when they are put in use for, let's say, criminal activities that we talked about earlier, this is very small, specific example use cases of such a complicated and capable
Hmm.
technology, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there must be some bigger grand scale use both on the criminal side but also on the prevention side.
Perfect. Perfect.
Which will be the equivalent of having a road which is not paved road, but it's like smooth, silky smooth, and has the right inclination of the turn, so the car doesn't fly off, and all these kind of a little bit more physical things that we can imagine.
Yeah, this leads to several questions in my mind, and I would like to ask you two of them. And we are now more than 30 people listening this, and I encourage all the audience to ask questions in our Q&A chat. And we have already two questions, and I will come back later to them. So, Alexander, every car has a driver. In our AI car, and as you mentioned earlier in the beginning of the webinar, uh, there must be a mindset change to use AI capabilities more in a more creative way, in a more efficient way. So, what kind of characteristics or functions an AI F1 car driver should have for you?
And let's continue the analogy, right?
Yeah, perfect.
You are essentially asking this citizen of ancient Rome about
Aha.
what the qualities of the driver should be of a car that we just saw 3 months ago, right? And that's the interesting part. And that's again what really inspires me working in the industry, because these questions in this recipe are just not there, and we will all together figure them out, and some more creative people will figure them out faster, and some will figure them out later. But they're all on the table, and it's all blue ocean now to figure out the characteristics. And for that, we need to go back to fundamentals, right? When I mentioned that the AI models are so big and so powerful, so for me, the path forward is to think of the problems that we want to solve into a more bigger, broader context. And it really makes sense, and it's now the moment to actually look from a helicopter view, even though I had the expression so much, but look a little bit from a helicopter view and say, well, instead of optimizing this, and this process, can we actually create a completely new process or function which solves the whole problem end to end. It was very popular about a few months ago in LinkedIn. It was full with articles about dashboard is dead now. You don't need to understand your data anymore. You just throw the data at AI and ask the question, and AI will analyze it and give you back
Response.
the answer. Right? You don't need the dashboard, and you don't need to understand anything, and so on. And I'm not a strong believer in that. I'm not a strong believer that we need to abdicate from thinking and rely on AI to solve everything for us, right? But we also need to take the opportunity and lift up ourselves and our thinking a little bit up and say, yeah, we just need to organize this whole thing together instead of solving one specific process here and one specific process there, because the capability of AI are now powerful to
Yeah.
solve that.
Alexander, you mentioned the quality of data,
Yeah,
and it is very important. And I can say that this is the fuel for the car. If the fuel
exactly.
is a good quality, the outcome, the
Exactly.
engine will be healthier. So
Yeah,
I think that
and
leads,
faster.
yeah, I am really curious about your perspective on the quality of data. How this quality advanced in the last few years? Do you think, did you see, have you considered a considerable progress in the data quality?
So, looking at the industries across and all the opinions and information I share with colleagues and friends and so on, there is significant amount of effort to improve quality. And there is, at least from what I see, there is a budgeting investment and a good realization that quality of data needs to improve, amount of data needs to improve or grow, and there's a long path to go, of course, and every industry and every company has their own track and their own path. But it, especially with the focus on AI, there is also quite significant focus on improving data.
Yeah, yeah, this is
And
definitely an item,
uh,
agenda
yeah,
item
exactly.
for
And
the
it's
teams.
I think it's well understood now. The amount of information in AI available online now is just amazing. I remember like 10 years ago, when I was starting my career, it was so challenging to explain some of the dependencies on AI on data, and hence the kind of dinosaur phrases nowadays: garbage in, garbage out, and so on, right? And if you think about it, um, I've been using that a lot in the past to communicate and to explain risks with AI not working in the past because of data quality. But actually, if we are very realistic, the data that these huge models have been trained on is not perfect. And it is actually the statistics that, and fundamentally the law of large numbers, that bring that works its magic. And eventually, even though the data is not perfect, the AI training is capable of uh, of 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 um, tuning down the errors and imperfections into the data and still find a very good information and be very useful from the data that is actually of high quality, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
from that perspective, the garbage in, garbage out on a simpler model on a lower model level might be very true, but we actually have seen that people have overcome that by scaling the model, not improving the data, right? To
I got
some
it.
extent. There is also this perspective into the discussion. So it's not like you need the perfect data; you just need to be good enough so that the good quality data is significantly more than the bad quality data and outperforms the effect of the bad quality data.
So the higher quality of the models actually compensate the discrepancies between data and the model, and it's not always garbage in, garbage out. Sometimes less garbage out with the more garbage in. Okay, thank you so much. As you touched upon, Alexander, actually AI and automation isn't something new, especially for banks and specifically for the compliance teams and AML teams. And they have been there for maybe more than 1 decade. But the capabilities are now much stronger, and there is a wide usage of it. And the mindset sets has changed to embrace the AI adoption more uh, speedy. And now I want to come to the point that there is a traditional AI and automation, and there are new terminology. One of them is agentic AI, and they sometimes can be confused. But what is the real difference in compliance context? And why does that distinction actually matter? Because in traditionally, compliance teams are dealing with know your customer, know your business, and there is with the rise of AI, there is a new actor in compliance world, which is agents who are able to behave on the name of real human, can take actions on behalf of them. And can we talk about the a new era of know your agent? How do you see all this change in agentic AI
Know
will
your
bring?
agent as an employee or know your agent as a criminal actor in your network. No, it is actually both, right? I mean, you mentioned it there quite rightfully. The agent is capable of taking action, right? And
Yes.
then this uh, I I'm not having a very clear view on how far are different industries into actually implementing agents. And also, when we speak about adoption and we speak about how far are we in the adoption, there is a significant difference between US and Europe, obviously. Not sure about China and how it goes there or Asia. But every continent being on their own track, I believe that the agents would be very helpful in removing bias, even with the current state of LLMs hallucinating and agents providing questionable outputs or taking questionable actions. I believe that in the very near future, this will be improved because it can be systematically improved. That's the power of the agent, right? If one agent improves, then all the agents in your network improve. And that is very powerful. It's almost impossible, or no one has ever achieved it with a human, right? To the level of scale and the speed of scale. But even though in this usage of removing bias and making decisions for actions or proposing actions on a much more data-driven, objective basis, I believe that should only be a suggestion for action, and agents shouldn't be given the possibility to actually execute actions, right? And especially when it's an industry like finance or maybe health, even though in health there are already some robots that can put a needle in your hand, right? But still, that's in financial industry, I think there should be a human at the end of a chain, verifying and validating and providing a human perspective and making sure that the action makes sense, because that's human lives and destinies there, right? That's how I see it with the agents, and they're great and fantastic in providing this unbiased and maybe more efficient lead time to suggestion of action. But we cannot just leave machines act on humans. Even if you take car industry, even if a robot is doing the welding, there is a test at the end that confirms the robot did the welding correctly. Yes, the robot does take all the actions as an agent, but at the end, there is a very robust test saying this coupe is secure for a human to get into it and drive it.
Yeah, and these are all dependent on the regulations. Like back to our analogy, every road, even ancient Rome roads, needs a policeman, a police officer who impose the regulations.
And
so
science and light science and everything.
Exactly. Right. So there must some rules and regulations that will impose an order to AI adaptation, and I can see that Barry Karan use a specific question about the regulations in the UK, but we can actually broaden this question into not a specific country, but broadly speaking, how can you see the regulator's dilemma? There must be rules, and it is so speed. I think there is a great challenge between two centers, and what is the third way of sorting this out?
And see, I don't think that's a new dilemma. It has been around for industries and companies for a very long time, and there is always a period of acting with less regulation, and then regulation come in and catches up, and that's the natural the natural sequence of events, right? You cannot regulate something that you don't understand or you don't know how it works, and you cannot know how it works until you start using it, and naturally you can only write rules and regulations after you use it and observe and see how it works and what are the flaws, because eventually regulation is a compensating mechanism for something it's a balancing mechanism, right? The car now moves too fast, and that's why you need to regulate the road, because before that people were moving with a decent speed, and even if they bump to each other, they're not going to die. But with the car, they die. And that's why you need to regulate it, right? I'm a big fan of aviation, and first tens of years, aviation was not regulated. People would fly with whatever they built themselves until there was the first airplane crash, two airplane colliding. Probably there was crashes before that as well, but two airplanes colliding, and only then people realized and started thinking that even in this 3D space of where you can take virtually any possible path, there can be a chance where two planes collide, right? And look at it. What is it now? Like the air traffic control is one of the most prestigious jobs in aviation, right? So it will be the same with, in my opinion, it will be the same with AI. There will be a period where it's not going to be it's not going to be clear what exactly the regulation is, and there will be events that will help build good regulations and better regulations, and um, and that's how it's going to be. And the fundamentals, like can you use AI for uh, specific activities with or without the human at the end, are probably some of these fundamentals will be easy to write and to regulate, but ultimately that is a process and it will evolve, and it's going to be always catching up on the usage, because only using it provide us with a good understanding of what might be wrong to compensate it with the regulation.
I see. Great point. Thank you. We have a lot of questions, and it's keep coming. And it seems that agentic AI is one of the topics that our audience like to discuss more. And one question about agentic AI is, Alexander, how do you think effective is it proving to be in reducing false positive? Of course, false positive. If we are talking about AI and machine learning, it must be about something related false positive. False positive compared to traditional machine learning. So, do
If
you see?
agentic AI is reducing false positive,
Uh, I think
or
this is a
AI,
comparison question in agentic AI and traditional machine learning. Which one is more effective?
have we figured out which one is more effective, the traditional machine learning or rule-based?
Ah,
Right. So, yeah, I think data would be insufficient. Again, we're not at the adoption level to say yes, it is more efficient, or no, it's not. It's less efficient. Because when we talk about efficiency, just saying okay, that's a better false positive rate doesn't add up, in my opinion. This goes back to my initial thinking about take a step back and see the problem more holistically. What is it if you reduce which one is better, you think, if you reduce the false positive with the €10 million investment with 10%, or if you reduce the false positive with 5% with €1 million investment, right? So yes, maybe the agentic AI is reducing the false positive with 10%, and by that metric, it is better, but it required 10 times more resources. And you can use another solution that is reducing only with 5% the false positive, but it costs 1/10 of the it's 1/10 of the cost, which might be a traditional AI. And then it's a decision and it's a trade-off. So from that perspective, like when you have that powerful model in the agentic AI, do you even talk about false positives anymore? Because false positives are very much rooted into rule-based. it's a metric for rule-based transaction monitoring. But what about if you say instead of false positive, is agentic AI better at capturing risk? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you define that, or try to redefine it? Try to use metrics that are suitable for agentic AI, and do not compare one rule that produces these alerts and it has this false positive rate compared to because in order to compare, you need to apply the agentic AI on the same rule, basic, same limited risk that this rule is capturing, right?
Great insight. Yeah.
So
So it is not an easy choice. Let's
it's
do
not.
this and solve all the problems. So it
It's
is
not.
just one of the complicating factors is just it is a resource problem. You need to make a decision, and this decision based on the cost. At what exchange do
On
you
the cost
choose?
and of the size of the problem that you solve.
I see. I
Because
see.
if you compare it one to one, a rule-based scenario solves a small problem, a very specific narrow risk, and you maybe even have multiple scenarios per specific risk, while the agentic AI will kind of in the very corner case, it will be like, is that a crime? And it will be yes or no. But if you have 10 times, if you have a false positive, or it is a crime or it's not a crime, that's solving much bigger problem because it is taking into account much bigger population of possibilities.
I see. I see. We are approaching the last minutes of this event, and thank you so much for all the questions, and they are keep coming. If you don't mind, we can wait a couple of more minutes to answer this. And
Yeah,
this is actually a great question, and from an anonymous user about like you talk about the resource problem.
yeah,
So AI replacing human analysts. What is your
yeah.
perspective on it? It is not an easy question, I can
No,
see.
it is not, and again, I'm trying to be very balanced in my opinion and in my thinking. Even I leave the opinion even aside, but in the thinking, and I would urge anyone that's listening and reading and interested into the topic to always try to find the other side of the coin, right? To always try to find the other perspective, because um, um, how did you frame the question again? Can you
Like,
repeat it?
yeah, do you expect AI to replace human analysts
Yeah,
in
when?
AML?
Like in a year or in 3 years, right? Or in 5 years? If you ask Steve Jobs when he gave the speech for the first iPhone, did he imagine that in 10 years, or did he know that in 10 years everybody will have iPhone in their pocket and everybody will be posting what they eat and what they
Hmm.
where they go, right? It is, and if you ask you know, even myself as a kid, do you believe that will happen? It will be super scary thought for me to go around and just share everything with the whole world. But now people are doing it in something normal. So it might sound that substituting analysts with AI agents is a very scary thought. But if it is in in collaboration, and the two fractions work together, meaning the AI agent and the human agent, and then the amount of work explodes in both complexity and in just in amount of work, then it's not going to be a scary thought anymore, and it will be like, yeah, we just need to use AI agents because the work is so much, we'll never be able to get it done without them.
Hmm.
And then it will be a synergy rather than one replacing the other, right? And there are probably legit concerns, even if the godfather of AI speaks on the Nobel Prize, ceremony about the risks. They are probably legit, right? He's smarter than me and all of us, but try to see the other perspective. it is still some percentages of probability of these events happening, and the majority of the probabilities in a synergy and working together. And there will be effect in job descriptions and so on, I believe, but it's not it's not going to be as we imagine it. That's maybe the point.
Perfect, perfect. Alexander, thank you very much for your time. That was exactly the honest frontline perspective I was and we as a sanction scanner we were hoping for. Thanks a lot for great insights and thank you everyone who joined us. Thank you for your patience. The recording will be shared with all of you registered. See you at the next one. Alexander, do you have anything to add as last closing remarks?
Just just want to thank you again for giving me that opportunity to share my thoughts and my opinion. And yeah, if one thing to take away from today is that it's this golden age and era for creativity, and yes, startups and small or medium-sized businesses might be positioned in a situation where they can experiment faster and fail faster. So I think that will lead to a very good ecosystem in this kind of startups to come up with products and make them available for others to use.
Yeah, this is exactly what we are at the first hand experiencing in Sanction Scanner with our platform Fusion. It makes things ex extremely easier and faster. So thank you everyone. Thank you, Alexander. See you at the next webinar.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Goodbye.